Aligning a square golf launch monitor can be a real pain. We've all been there, stuck on this screen trying to get it perfectly aligned as it moves around here and there because it's such a lightweight unit. Well, I've developed the best possible method to permanently align your square golf launch monitor and still allow you to move it left and right on your hitting area. I'm going to show you how I did it and show you the tools you need and hopefully make life easier for you so you can play more golf and spend less time aligning your launch monitor. Let's go take a look. So you're going to need some simple tools. You're going to need a laser level. These can pick up for a few quid online. You just need to be able to get a perfectly straight line. You're also going to need a tape measure and you're going to want to be able to dip this level as well. So make sure you've got a dipping stick or you've got your tape measure. Now, what are you going to need as far as materials? Let's get looking at that. So to build this platform, you're going to need a piece of ply and you're going to need some of this, little edging strips or molding detail, or just another piece of ply will do. This just looks a little bit nicer. So how do we construct it and how do we place it in the floor? So when you're trying to align your launch monitor using the stick, it can be temperamental. But what you're trying to do is get this launch monitor lined up with the stick. Now to line that stick up, you need to use your eye, looking down the target line and making sure that it's straight to the target, and then simply just moving your launch monitor. It sounds simple, but it can be a real pain if you've ever tried to do it to get it absolutely perfect. Now, as you can see, to be able to align this launch monitor perfectly, you're going to be moving it around ever so slightly, bit by bit, to try and get that line right. And it can be really time consuming. Now, we've just achieved 0.0, but the launch monitor is so light that the grass is allowing it to move little bits at a time. And if you see it bouncing around there, 0.0, 0.2, 0.1, and that's the launch monitor moving on the grass. So how can we make this easier? How can we make it a one-time effort thing? Well, we can build a stand. You'll see the stand just behind that launch monitor. Now let me get in depth about how that works and save you so much time. So to permanently align it, all I've done is built a ply platform. That ply platform allows the launch monitor to sit completely flat, and it has this little trim around the edge which creates a perfect area for it to sit up to. So to create the platform, I've used a piece of ply. That ply allows the launch monitor to sit perfectly flat, and it has this edging detail for the launch monitor to sit up to the front to stop it from being able to come out of alignment. So simply touching the edge of the frame. That permanently locks it into place. I've then got a second piece of edging here, which I just apply to the back of the launch monitor. And where it is fairly tight, it just locks everything in. Now with that as well, it means that I can move the launch monitor to the right or to the left, and it permanently remains aligned to the target. Now how I achieved this perfect alignment was a little bit of time spent with one of these and making sure that it was perfect before we set this in place. And to do that, we used a laser, which I'm going to show you right now. Now, when it comes to perfect alignment, you need that laser level because I'm running a laser, if you can see it here, through the line of my hitting mat, and it's aligned perfectly to the edge of my mat. I'm going to take the tape measure to my little stand and I'm going to put it up against it so I can see the laser on the tape measure. Now the laser is telling me that that's 395mm. Go to the front of it and it's also 395mm, which means that that bracket or that stand is exactly in line with the hitting area or the target line, so I know it's always going to be perfectly aligned. Now to double check that, I would use the alignment stick to make sure it was absolutely bang on, and that gives me a perfect line every single time. So the target alignment stick on the laser line is giving me a reading of 0.0, which means that it is exactly in line with my hitting strip, and that is absolutely perfect. Now, the next super important thing is the height of the laser. Now, with square golf, it is very sensitive to height change. So you need to be at the same height at the bottom of the square golf unit as your hitting strip. Now, that is quite a simple process because when you put that in, all you need to do is build up with adhesive and push it down and dip test it with the tape measure and the laser. So let me show you exactly how I did that. So to test this then, I need to take a horizontal laser around the room. I need to take a dip test from the surface of this platform here to the surface of my hitting mat. And I want that to read pretty much exactly the same. So on here then I have a reading of 155 millimeters from my laser to the top of the platform. And if I take my tape measure and put it on the hitting area, I have a reading of 155, which means that this surface here is exactly the same height as this, giving me perfect alignment. So as I mentioned earlier, install of this is super easy to get the height right. All you need to do is have this built, stick it onto blobs of adhesive, get nice big blobs of adhesive and set it high. And all you're going to do is push it down while dip testing it. So you can make sure that it sits the exact same height as this. It's a nice and simple process. Do it slowly, side at a time, and front and back the same as well, to make sure that that is perfectly level at the same time. A laser in this circumstance is going to be a godsend. It's going to make everything just perfect. So the dimensions for this little platform are quite straightforward. They're 100 millimeters wide and they are 300 millimeters long. Now you could go much longer if you wanted to be able to move the launch monitor further around the room, but this was sort of like the ideal sort of distance that I wanted to be able to move it. Now what you want to do is get some edging detail. That can be pretty much anything. Place it around the front. This wants to be perfectly straight and perfectly attached so it can't move, and that is super important because that's what the launch monitor is going to press up against. Now you want to cut a piece for the back, but you don't want to fix it. Now this piece, it needs to be tight inside that part there because you want it to have some sort of durability and strengthening to hold the launch monitor in place. And all you do is set that back to there. Now I've made that bigger because the Square Golf cases are evolving all the time and I wanted to make it future proof. But if I put the Square Golf launch monitor here, and then all I need to do is pull this back and lock it into place. And now the launch monitor is unable to move around and become unaligned. So now that's set to go and it can't get itself out of alignment. No more messing around with one of these things. And as I said, if you want to use a case using the Perspex case, for example, you just put that on, push it to the front, and then again, just slide your holding stick in against the back and voila, all good. But the best thing about this little contraption here is, again, I can move it to the left and I can move it all the way to the right, which gives me more area that I can use on my hitting mat to get better longevity out of the hitting mat. So when you know that your launch monitor is perfectly aligned all the time and you don't have to worry about it, it relieves some of that stress. And especially if you're playing on something like the Simulator Golf Tour, you need to know that your shots are going to go where you expect them to. So close to being on the line. That's because we know it's aligned. So if this video has helped in any way, then do leave a like and also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please do drop a comment as well and let me know what you want to hear about next, what hints or tips or even what issues you're facing with your Square Golf launch monitor, and hopefully we can help. But also if you're thinking about buying the Square Golf launch monitor or any other launch monitor on the market, then do check out the link in the description below and save yourself a few quid. That's pounds if you're American, by the way. I've been Raw Golf, you've been awesome. Let's go.